Everyone, please rise. I'd like to ask Lance Blackwell to lead us in prayer.
It's a privilege to be here. Let's bow our heads. Father God, we know that where two or three are gathered in your name, that you're in our midst and you're welcome here. We thank you for your presence and the presence of peace and safety and protection. And Father, I just pray right now over Mayor Boyette, our city council members, and Father, we just pray over all of our department heads. We thank you for the city of Cleveland. And we pray for all those that have come tonight. We pray, Father God, that we'll be joined in unity. It's in Christ Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Someone please face the American flag, salute the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our public hearing meeting. First item on the agenda is a public hearing. This is to consider and possible action to adopt an ordinance amending the city's comprehensive plan on zone change from R1, which is residential, to GC, which is general commercial, for the following locations. An ordinance for the city of Cleveland, Texas, amending the city zoning map and comprehensive plan and changing the zoning districts of properties located on Dunham Section 1, Block 2, Lots 3 through 12, and Alley, acres 1.7218. Dunham Section 1, Block 2, Lot 1, 2, 1 acres, 3.444. 400 block of West Hanson. 2 general commercial, provided a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each violation, and making other provisions related to the subject. If you'd like to speak, you can come forward. Anyone on the zoning?
I'll speak. My name is Fred Terrell. I live at 403 Dudley. I live in this community, and it is one of the few, if there's another historical residential area, I don't know of it, but that is where we are, and we'd like for it to stay without commercial. Right now, my house is centered by commercial on 2 sides. I really would hate for this to happen where the Baptist church is now. Thank you.
I'd like to just add that the foreign boarding zone, or zoning commission they have said they want to stay residential.
Yeah, I live at 201 Dunham Avenue, and I'm concerned about the safety of the children if it's made commercial. I have 3 boys, and they're dropped off a block right behind the church, and you have to walk home. So if it's made commercial, then I'm going to be concerned about the traffic and the people, the cars. It's already a concern now because people like to cut through the neighborhood to avoid the lights through town. But there's no guarantee that what business is there isn't going to be loud or like a downtown company or, so it's concerned to keep it. It's a beautiful neighborhood as it is.
Anyone else public hearing or the zoning? Go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Tammy Tellis. I live at 200 Jordan Avenue. My husband and I have lived there not quite 2 years. We bought our lot from the church. We were told that the church would be keeping the old sanctuary and might eventually tear it down within 7 to 8 years. We moved from an unrestricted area. We had mobile home come in within 10 feet from our property line. We ended up selling, we ended up buying in the city because we wanted restrictions and we didn't want mobile homes or whatever come in around us. And then now I believe that if this were made commercial, it could be anything. It could be a tire shop, it could be a scrap metal yard, it could be apartments, it could be anything. And our neighborhood is quiet. We've enjoyed living there. We ride our bikes, we walk, we see other families walking. There's a park a block away. We feel completely comfortable letting our kids and nieces and nephews go to the park, walk without having to worry about traffic. And we would just like to keep it our nice, quiet neighborhood. Hope that you also put yourself in our shoes. And that's your neighborhood. Would you want that to happen to you? And I just ask that you please keep it residential. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anyone else? Public comments?
My name is Kelly Axton. I live at 312 Doris. My husband owns property at 200 Denham. I'm here to try to encourage the council to not zone this commercial for the benefit of the area, for the community, for our city, for the friends that I have there, and for our own benefit, as well as the fact that it is a historical area. It's a real concern if it were zoned commercial, what could possibly come in. And I know that's a real concern to the residents that live there. It's a quiet neighborhood. It's very peaceful. I enjoy going there and visiting friends. And I would just encourage you to keep those points in mind and consider our community and our taxpayers. And thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I'm Glenda Plumley. The home that we have is 512 West Houston Street. And my grandparents had the home, and then my parents had a home, and we inherited the home. To me, it's a beautiful home, and we love it, and we love the neighborhood, our friends. And I just would like to see this, we can consider to stay residential. It has a park beside it, but to me, good things still go on with the park. And so I would really like overall for this still to be residential.
Well, I remember playing.
Well, me too.
Not trying to age you. Anyone else? No one else, I'm going to close the public hearing. We'll have public comments, and then we'll actually, the fourth item on the agenda is consideration of the vote on that. Fred, do you want a public comment? Yes. These are 3 minutes.
Starting now, Angela. I'm Fred Terrell. I still live at 403 Dudley. I want to thank Mr. Councilman James Franklin for bringing up last council meeting about the EDC director. We never had an EDC director before, so this is new to us. We asked questions, we talked to other people, and we were told what we needed to do to proceed to find us an EDC director. We posted it, we got over 20 applicants. We narrowed this list down to 10 people. And then we actually interviewed 5 people one night, another 5 people another night. And this group that did the choosing was council people, EDC people, city manager was present, so was the financial director. And out of that is what we came up with our present EDC director. This gentleman had served on the EDC since its inception in 2001. And he had been doing a lot of this on his own, just with no cost free. So because of that, we selected that gentleman, Mr. Robert Reynolds, to be our EDC director. And I wish that the council would follow those types of scenarios with the rest of the business. Also, on the agenda tonight, item number 8, we're talking about fuel tanks. In our packet, we found that applicants that are asking for being on city council, we got a packet, by the way. I'm asking that we know the cost of the tanks, whether it be one $2,000 and one $1,000 or whatever, somewhere between $26,000 and $30,000. I'd like for you to let the public know what our bill is on an annual basis. By doing this, will we save any money? If we do, how long will it take to break even with that $30,000 investment? Thank you for your time.
Mr. Charles Bryant.
Yes, I'm here to address another matter, the changing of Beach Street. I have 3 minutes. My name is Charles Bryant. I live at 701 Beach Street. I was approached by Ms. Dolores Terry over 2.5 years ago. She asked me if I wanted to change the name of Beach Street to Raw Bryant Jr. Avenue in remembrance of my father who did so much for the community. I replied yes. That was a nice thing. That would be a nice thing to do. She proceeded to give me the instructions and procedures to have the street name changed. I spoke with my immediate family, and after speaking with my immediate family, we decided to leave it at Beach Street because 701 Beach Street is a historic marker. Because we have Raw Bryant Jr. Barbershop business cards that bear the address of 701 Beach Street, there are numerous of people that have gotten their first haircut, their children's first haircut at 701 Beach Street. There are lawyers, Liberty County judges and lawyers that have had meetings to discuss ways to better the community at 701 Beach Street. I could go on, but we decided to leave it at 701 Beach Street, but discussions to change the name to Raw Bryant Jr. continue to come up. On occasion, I would see Ms. Cherry and I would tell her I am still considering changing the name to Raw Bryant Jr. Avenue. She replied, yes, we can still do it. On Wednesday, December the 15th, my sister informed me that Dorothy Price was trying to get in touch with me. On the next day, I called Ms. Price and she informed me that she wanted to change the name of Beach Street to Ernest Carrington Jr., Ernest Carrington Sr. Did I say that correct? Ernest Carrington Sr. After talking with Ms. Price, I then informed her of the situation with my father, Raw Bryant Jr., and the address 701 Beach Street, telling her, no, I do not agree with the name change. Her reply was, you do know there is a process. I replied, yes, I know. On March the 18th, while at work, I was informed that Beach Street had been changed to Ernest Carrington Sr. Raw Bryant Jr. and I, the executive of Raw Bryant Estate, have 2 homes on Beach Street. I have not signed any petition to have the name changed. I know something was done that was not in accordance to city council rules and procedures. I do take in consideration that I know you was once married to the Carrington family, and you have some type of bond. But Ms. Terry knows that I do have property on Beach Street, and that my signature, as well as other people's signature on Beach Street, was not on that petition. With that being said, I'm asking the council to please return that back to Beach Street.
You know, we had this on the agenda probably 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I'm not for sure. I don't remember Ms. Terry saying anything about the problem that we're having.
I want to make a comment. Okay, a year and a half ago, we name of the street. I forgot, it's been so many. But I made a statement that we was going down the slippery slope. And, David, I think we had talked, and I talked to Bobby about getting a moratorium on street names because it's to the point that it was causing division and confusion in the community. Okay, but since then, we've had several more changes, and we're going down the slippery slope. Cleveland has a lot of history. We got a lot of good people, a lot of successful people from the past. We got a lot of people now that are living their lives outside of Cleveland, that are natives from Cleveland, that are very successful, having successful careers. So what we need to do, we need to find some type of way to, maybe in the historical museum or something to honor the families, because, you know, everybody, when they lose a loved one, they miss their loved one. You know, I can understand that, but we really going down a slippery slope, because all this is gonna do is gonna get worse. It's gonna be more confusion and more division. Like I said, I talked about this a year and a half ago, but I was ignored. So here we go again. That's all I got to say.
Well, only thing, Danny, I'm assuming we didn't do our due diligence, or this wouldn't be, we wouldn't be having this tonight. I think Angela thought she had everybody's signature. I'm assuming that.
Ms. Price did tell me that she had gotten everybody's signature. She did not relay to me that there was any decisions.
Yeah, well, you know, we had talked, and I talked to Danny about it, on this new downtown improvement we'll do, not what we're on now, but the coming up, that we might have put a wall or some kind of place and have it for the different families that have done things in Cleveland, movers and shakers. Because street names, it causes a lot of confusion with the mail being rerouted, your checks, everything you do near about is tied to your address. So, I asked David, our legally, he said that we need to probably just put this on the agenda next week and decide what we're gonna do, our regular meeting. And that's about all we can do tonight. So,
Yeah, may I say something, please?
go ahead, Mr.
May I say something, please?
Go ahead.
Actually, I recall on this issue, I did not vote on this, and simply because of the council, just like you said, the council had went over this before and decided that we would not do this again because of the issues that it brought about. And I stuck to that, and I know all these families, but we came to agreement that we was not gonna do this anymore. So I did not vote for it. And yes, there was approximately 6 names that was not, 5 to 6 names that was not on that petition. And it's not the city's duty to honor any family, but the citizens can find a way to compose something to honor their families. But I just think this is really a problem, because I had 2 people to notify me that they had some very important mail, Social Security, that they was not receiving because of the address change. And I did get a call last week. One of the ladies said she finally got hers straightened out, that Social Security had told her that her address had changed and she's been living there all her life. So this did and has caused a lot of problems, a lot of issues. So I think we do need to find another way to sort of help address this issue, because there are a lot of people that contribute a lot of things to the city, but we have to find another way to do this. We have a lot of people that has done a lot of things, and I know Roy Bryant. He was on the city council, I believe, the school board, and I saw a lot of old history, including him in it. But there's a lot of people that done this, but we just need to find another way. And I'm so sorry that this happened, because I know it's heartbreaking for everybody that's included in this. We gotta find another way.
Of course, the way our agenda is, we're not really supposed to answer y'all. You have the comments, but go ahead, Mr. Carroll.
First thing, out of no disrespect to Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant, he was a perfect friend of mine, great man. He's a great man. And his family. His friend. What we did, we had called and asked questions, what we need to do to get all the names. They said people that live on the street or whatever, didn't live there before that, for history. But that brick home over there, that's the oldest brick home in precinct 20. Pretty just that precinct Cleveland, right there on Carrington Street. Mr. Brown came later. My father had been passed dead, like I say, about 27 years, 20 years. I think Mr. Brown been gone. He passed away about 21, 22 years, if my calculation right. When we went around, they white got all the signatures and things. And I feel like, and then after my father raised a daughter, they went with Freddie Black, went to school. Freddie one worked at the police, first one worked at the police department up there, the old police department. Freddie Black worked at the Southwest and Bell. And I figured out the name of my grandma, midwife, brought a lot of children. I figured we know what property got her. But when he suggested about I talked to Mr. Miller today, I was thinking like, we're gonna run out the streets. We're gonna run out the streets. They can get a like a wall or something, a park or something, with people's name. Mr. Brian, there's a lot of great people. Mr. Jail, your family got a lot of history. Mr. McWhorter got I know when she first got here, that's really her when she first got here. Her father was a businessman. And what they could do, they could get a wall. Then when people come back home, the children come home, they have somewhere to go take pictures, bring the children. We're gonna run out the street. When we get the street, got the street name. There wasn't no way out of disrespecting nobody. And if I called any hurt call, we did, I apologize to you, I apologize to anybody. Because I never would disrespect your dad, but your dad was perfect friend. And his dad and my dad sung together in the choir when they first started out. There wasn't no disrespect nobody. But we got all the names, because I didn't want to do something for my father. Things like that. And so, if I put the city council in some kind of bad situation, I wish I never did it, and things like that. Where we're at now, what it did, it's done right now. And then another thing what really bothered me when they started making history. Okay, the street Mr. Bryant lived on all his life, along there. It been there, vacant. Then after Odell Jr. passed away, then Odell Sr. passed away, that street got took away. That street been open for how many years? So I don't get nobody thinking of whatever to try to get this did. So I don't know why I got together. We put the hard work in and try to figure out what we need to do. We thought we did everything proper, which I thought we did do everything proper. So I thank y'all for giving me this time to talk.
Thank you, Gary. And it was one of the saddest days in Cleveland's history when Mr. Bryant. He's a really good guy, really good man. Like I said, we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting where we can discuss it and decide what we're gonna do with that. Anybody else public comments? Okay. Item 4 is consideration and possible action on final recommendations of the zoning commission on an ordinance for the city of Cleveland, Texas, amending the city zoning and map and comprehensive plan by changing the zoning district of properties located in Dunham, Section 1, Block 2, Lot 3 through 12, and alley acres 1.7218. Properties located at Dunham, Section 1, Block 2, Lot 3-12, and alley acres 1.7218. Dunham, Section 1, Block 2, Lot 1 and 2, acres 3.344, 400 block of West Hanson to GC General to, they're asking the council, I suppose,
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we, as a council, agree with the zoning commission decision and deny the request for change in zoning from residential to commercial.
Second.
Carolyn made the motion. Marilyn seconded. Any other discussion by council? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Against, the same sign. Okay, item 5 is consideration of possible action on contract for engineering with BRW Architects for the Police Evidence Facility project and authorize the city manager to sign the documents. Is anyone here from BRW? Come on up here, right? Make it work for that 122,000.
Yes, sir.
Right, we were going to go out for a building on that, almost 6 months ago for like $100,000 for the whole thing. Now we're getting told $122,000 just for the engineering on a 3,000 square foot cinder block building.
You can build a 3,000 square foot cinder block building, but it's evidence, so there's pieces to it. Yeah, I'm not excited with the number either. We spent some time with it. We had 2 sets of engineers from each trade give us proposals, because it is higher than what we normally see, in a larger project percentage-wise and so forth. So we looked at civil, structural, HVAC, all that. Unfortunately, it has a lot of a little bit of everything in it. And so if it was just a CMU block building, it'd be great, but we have air conditioning, we have HVAC in there. There's plumbing in there, so I got waste, I got supply and all that. So I've got to have engineers to do that. And it was just a shell of a building. Yeah, we'd be singing another tune here, but unfortunately, the requests for the program is these elements here. I've got to have some civil engineering. Your electrical panel on the existing police station cannot hold anymore, so I got to have another electrical service. Because of that, I can't attach to the existing generator, so I've got to have engineering on that. The evidence, the weapon storage has to be separate, so I've got to have a separate room and AC for that. I also have to abide by the International Association of Police Evidence guidelines and so forth. We just can't have a metal building there. We got to have security to kind of protect it. So nobody gets in it. We've done over 30 police stations. We just finished an evidence building up in Garland last year. Greater size of this, not to this level. So we have the expertise, we have the knowledge to do this. If you just want a metal building, that's fine, but we have some guidelines and
Nobody ever said we want a metal building. Nobody ever said.
But we have guidelines and so forth to abide by, and so that's where we're at. So we have to have geotech come back down. We have surveying coming back down.
How would it cost for security? Right adjacent to the police station, you saying you have to count security in the building? How much does that add up to? Just curious.
We have in our proposal, in the MEP, we had $16,800 for the HVAC, the electrical, was tied in with all that.
So it's a separate HVAC?
Yeah.
The building is completely separate from the fire station.
No,
Fire police station.
no, what I'm saying is in the, you said evidence, you have to have a separate HVAC?
So there is a large evidence room, the whole 3,000 square foot building is evidence. We have a separate room for weapons. It has to be separately conditioned. You can't have, by code, you can't have air conditioning in there going in and heating. You can't have the two mixed because of contaminants. Fortunately, we don't have narcotics in there. Narcotics are staying in the police facility, correct, Chief?
Yes.
Yes. So that lessens our requirements. So that's staying there, but we have a restroom in this facility, so I gotta have water supply, return, and so forth like that. I've got data that goes out there. It's a lot of little pieces. I don't have a large quantity of stuff. I just have lots of little pieces that requires the expertise.
May I say something real quick? I think some of the security comes into play whenever we're talking about the hard end of the inside of the walls, from someone penetrating or maybe some breach of the walls in the back. There's a heavily wooded area in the back. It would be nice to have a fence around that whole property down there, 226 Beach at the police station. But when we're talking about evidence, he has a lot of great concerns, and we've talked about camera system, possibility of alarm system or something, just in case someone did breach. So that's the security part that we keep, he keeps mentioning about, we talked about and discussed it. Maybe halfway hardening of the walls, not to give away all the secrets of what that building may contain, but there's some things that we would have to do as far as humidification and things like that with guns and weapons that keep them just rusting out, and drugs when people are in that building from getting sick themselves. So some of that comes into play with the HVAC system.
And y'all not worried about.
And we're talking about 25 years. We're not talking about a building we're gonna have for 5 years and
We're talking about 3,000 square foot building.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that is a square, it's got a restroom in it, gonna have air conditioning. I just can't see spending, I mean, Ramot doesn't say you're wrong at 122,000, that just seems so crazy for a 3,000 square foot building. It's gonna hold evidence, maybe less big storage room for the police department.
Man, what's the total price tag on that again?
There we got 600,000.
Yeah, we have 600,000 budgeted for it.
What do you?
I thought this was.
I just say they come in at 599 too.
Yeah. Whatever.
What other recourse do we have? I mean, I know we've lost one insurance.
I mean, I think this is something that we've talked about for a long time, and we're gonna have to have it. I mean, we've got to protect our evidence, or we're in a lot of trouble if we don't. And we've talked about doing this. I know the prices are out of sight, but they're not gonna get any better, that's for sure.
Carolyn, I mean, we built that whole police station, I don't think we should put $40,000 on engineering for the whole station that Daryl's in right now. I mean.
Several years ago.
And we put an evidence room there and had everything that we needed, it was hardened, you know, it doesn't take much to harden a concrete block wall.
Different time, different place.
We're not saying that we're not gonna do it, we just questioning some of the costs. We're gonna do what we gotta do for the city. We're gonna do that, we just kind of questioning, you know, if we was building a house, you know, I'm gonna question that architect, contractor, I mean, you know, we just question it, so it's not saying we're not, but we do need it.
Mayor, if I might say something, please?
Go ahead.
And I understand all the significance and the needs of all these little bitty, everything that you're talking about. And if the chief and the others is aware of all these little bitty other things for the evidence and weapons and all that, and everybody has done their homework, research, and sort of did a comparison and know what's out there, and time has changed, so we just need to make sure that everything has been sort of researched and compared before we make that decision, but we know we have to do this. So if they have done their job, or whoever's supposed to do their job in researching this, and once that contract is written up, and the attorney has looked at it and everything's okay, we can move forward with that.
We just don't want those surprises like we had in the past.
I understand too. I understand the price because it has grown every year. And we've kicked it down the road and kicked it down the road. Whenever you're trying to protect the integrity of evidence, it is very, very important. When the DA calls and he wants a piece of evidence over there, and you gotta dig through stuff to find it, and you're worried your butt off that you can't find it, and they're gonna drop the case, or some victim's gonna go, a suspect's gonna go loose, and a victim's, something's happened, and you're not able to present that evidence, it's really tough. So I'd invite any of you to come back sometime and look at what, I don't say the mess we have, but digging through it's not categorized, bar-coded, or anything. Shelving is gonna be very important in this building, whether it's metal shelving or wooden shelving. 2 years after we was in this building, 20 years ago, in 2002, they added on to the Sally Port Mr. Cliff Dunn and several more built on. So we have a evidence room here, part of evidence room over here, part of evidence room over here. And it's time, this building is this not gonna be, I don't wanna build something that's gonna last for 5 years and we're back to where we're at. I was just thinking about future, having an office there, a property room manager in that building. That's why I consider the restroom. Of course, that's a lot of cost in plumbing and things like that. But I was thinking long-term, so, and I understand the
And
cost.
Darrell, you remember when we built the police station, we thought we were building
Yes.
big evidence.
And at that time, 11,000 square foot, we thought we were doing the best. A lot of things have come up.
So, if I may, I would like to go ahead and consider that we go ahead and approve this and move forward with it, because the police department has been liking for a lot of things for a long time, and they still are liking for a lot of things. And if this is gonna be for long term, I think it would be beneficial. So I make that motion.
Marilyn made the motion that we go out with the RFP. James seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Yes, same sign.
Mayor, and if I may add, what we're looking at doing with the Stansel Pavilion, the train depot, as well as this police evidence facility, we're looking at combining these and trying to bid them under one package. So in hopes of having more contractors, get better pricing by combining these facilities, since they're all on the same road here.
The thing about that bothers me on that, I'm gonna leave this alone after this. I'll say this, you're doing the pavilion, you're gonna do the depot, and you're doing them for less than the 122,000 that we're doing for the station. That just seems a little odd to me. I'm through.
And if I can add something to that, and I see the growth here that we have, and all the improvements that we're trying to make. This might not be nothing to, I don't know, but I'm looking at this lot that's cleaned off here, and we need to focus on the vision here, because we don't have a lot of space when we have activities here at the Civic Center. Even when we have meetings like this, the people have to park on the back, on the side of the street. That lot that's cleaned up over here, if you had a vision, you would have sort of tried to create something, buy this lot and utilize that for your parking, your overflow. And I know someone already has that, but these are the type of things that when you see yourself growing with all these different things, you need to make plans. That lot would be so much beneficial for our city, for overflow parking for the city and for all the events that are on the street. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, just one thing, Mayor. You know, on the other projects, the pavilion, the train station is totally different. It's completely different. The pavilion, we're not making any money on it. The engineers, I twisted their arms for that project. Every single one was losing money. It's a project we're excited about to be part of your community. So that was a great asset. The previous city manager had a set budget, and I twisted their arms and ourselves that it was a project that we were going to do, knowing that we weren't going to make any money on it. We're not trying to make it up here, but that would have been the dollars associated with that.
Anybody got that little fiddle? Just kidding.
You brought the subject up. But we do appreciate working with y'all. You guys are a great community. You got great people.
You're gonna make it look good too, Rick.
So we thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, consideration and possible action. Oh, this is item 6, consideration and possible action on new development off 600 Easy Street and possible action on planned unit development requirements. Stacy, you
I'm Scott Lambert, by the way, if y'all don't know me by now. Hey, I represent a group of people that we bought. It's 9.6 acres. It's right behind Stripes. I think it's called 7-Eleven now. And it has 4 tax accounts on there. 3 of them that face Easy Street are zoned R1, which is residential into single family residential. And then the other part behind those 3 tax accounts is zoned manufactured homes, like is what is next door. Okay, so what this group is asking, if y'all have an appetite, I'll use that term, appetite, I guess, for townhomes to zone that into R2, is what we're going to, we're asking for a PUD, planned unit development, and it's because of all the variances and things that are in that townhome development. There will be 96 townhomes in there, and they're on a 25 by 80 foot lot, each one of them. So basically you have a section that's 100 by 80 feet, and there's 4 units in that one block, is the way it is. They're 2-story with a 2-car garage, and they range between about 1,536 square feet of living space with a 2-car garage, so it's basically 1,800 square feet.
How many acres you got?
It's 9.6.
What do we require?
25.
David?
Sure.
In those days, that's why.
Yeah, it is, but you all have the ability to, essentially massage that rule if you'd like to. And before they went through the process, I thought it would be appropriate, since ultimately whether they do it through a rezoning or through a PUD, it's gonna end up before you again. So, before they waste their time and energy in this project, I thought it'd be appropriate to at least pitch the concept to you to see if you'd be willing to let them go through the process and bring it back. But the 25, yes, I mean, I agree, but looking at what they're proposing to do it otherwise, to just do a simple rezoning and all the different massages that they would want to make, would divest your body from control over that, and we will then go to the zoning board of adjustment. I didn't think that was appropriate. It's really more of a legislative issue. So I think it really is right for you guys to ultimately decide whether you think that kind of development is appropriate. It's as simple as that. We're not asking for a yay or nay. It's really just, do you want staff to bring this to the zoning commission for consideration?
So you're saying we'll go to a meeting and look at the plans,
We gave, we met with Stacy and Angela and Lindsay, our group did. We have plans. I apologize. I thought our architect was going to show up, but I do have plans and everything.
These units are going to be sold, not rented, correct?
They are sold. They will be sold.
Mayor, is it,
Go ahead.
is it appropriate that the zoning get the opportunity to look at this before we come to this decision?
Well, yeah, we have to go, what we're just asking, do you think it's appropriate? Essentially, are you okay with it? And if so, yes, ma'am. We would then go to the zoning.
Well, of course, everything is appropriate, but we just want to go through the process of doing it, so they would have opportunity to see if there's
I think we're kind of going backwards, because normally we go through zoning, we pay our $300 fee or whatever it is. Yeah, $300. So instead of us going through a massive $112,000 engineering cost, which it probably will be, don't get me wrong on this. This project's probably $150K in engineering, so we have already spent the money for the townhome concept and everything that we showed Stacy and Angela. We brought our stuff, and I would have made y'all each colored copies of each one of these. But it's a nice complex. We even talked with Stacy and Angela, because we normally do, when we do our construction of roads and underground utilities, we normally go with the Houston code, which Stacy informed me we didn't have specs. Yeah, it would be Liberty County specs. So, but anyhow, it's a nice complex. It's in a great location, it's close to the schools, it's strict, right off of Houston Street. And it's a great piece of property for what we would consider multifamily.
That whole street is already residential anyway, except for stores, so front.
Yeah, I mean, you have manufactured homes next door, which, has a little technical issue with us building this nice complex, two-story homes, but we can get by with that because that's just moving forward in Cleveland, so.
Well, like I say, I don't think we have a problem with that.
No, really, the only reason that we're doing this extra step is because it really doesn't fit into a PUD.
Yeah.
It's really not, I think it would be challenging to do this through the zoning board of adjustment. So since it's kind of in a gray area, if y'all are okay with proceeding and looking past the minimum acreage for this type of development to at least consider, I'm confident that we can distinguish this where it wouldn't set a
We just want to
precedent.
do the right thing. I just don't want
Yeah.
anybody to say,
No, I
5 years from now, we let somebody come in and just jump on us out. I'm not saying that.
No, that's fine, I understand.
But we're not making a,
No, I just want to make sure conceptually you're okay with it, because ultimately it's going to be in front of you. And if they were to come to me at the staff level and say, hey, I have this proposed development, say, well, you're not eligible for a PUD, this is not the right size, we have to go to council and get it changed. Or we do it through a rezoning, and then they've got a bunch of different deviations from our current rules, which would be extremely challenging. It essentially would create a legislative group out of the zoning board of adjustment, which I don't like to do. That's y'all's job. So it makes sense to kind of get your blessing to move forward with the 9.6.
Well, I don't agree with that, simply because of the fact that the zoning actually will be the ones to go in and sort of review the area and see what type of complications that might possibly come up. So I really feel like they need to be aware of this first.
They will be the first one. Once y'all say, okay, that's where we'll
So what
start.
are we saying okay to?
The fact that this doesn't meet the minimum requirement for a PUD. We're
Okay,
proposing
but it does not, so they want to bring this fall, yeah, we're okay with that, but
Okay.
we know that it is not.
Just wasn't appropriate at the staff level to just move forward when it didn't meet the minimum requirements.
it's not gonna cost us anything tonight, so.
Yeah.
No,
Just saying,
this is just belts and suspenders.
It's not gonna cost y'all anything.
Okay, wait, done, be
Okay.
good.
The sign cutting.
Is everybody okay with us proceeding in staff and the zoning commission to work on this project? Okay, no motion necessary, just kind of some guidance from council makes sense. I think you have what you need, Scott.
basically what it's doing, you're just doing it, it's just gonna be a smaller area, but you're not actually making any other.
It'll be
changes
90
As far as the lots.
It'll be a little compact,
There's gonna be some deviations. That's what a PUD is designed to do, is to accommodate different areas and different, proposed developments in a restricted area. So they'll still have to follow the PUD rules, but ultimately, because it's a smaller size, it was appropriate to bring before you.
Yeah, just when you come in, we want to see plans and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And before he even goes before the zoning commission, they will do all that.
yeah. We already have all that.
Good deal, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Item 7, consideration and possible action on in-kind use request from Stansville Expo Center and Arena by Pinewood Rooters Entertainment on May the 21st, 2022 for a fundraiser for senior citizens in Liberty County Constable's Office. Kurt.
Actually, he's not here.
Come on.
Hey, I didn't wear it, I'm sorry.
So we want to use the park to raise funds for the senior center, which we all know has been struggling for funds for some time. We've already done several different events to try and bring funds there and even hold them at the senior center, but we had absolutely no participation. It was actually embarrassing. And I felt for Miss Maxine and all, we did what we could there. So we've got to move it off site. So if we move it off site, use Stansville Park, we will bring in more funds by using the park to bring it in, because we can do a lot more over there. The second half of dividing the funds goes to targeting all of Liberty County Constable's Office, all of the precincts. We know, when I look at the budget for the county every year, as far as law enforcement, and the chief knows it, Zach back here knows it, all the constables departments know it, sheriff's department. We do a lot for our law enforcement in this county, and we always will. But the constables departments, whenever I'm talking to them and they've got cars sitting back there because motor's bad, they can't get the funds for it. They can't get some new equipment because they're waiting, because their budgets are always so low. So they can't come out and ask anybody for money. However, we can donate. So running this dual benefit on the same day with a 50-50 split of proceeds gives the money to them. So if we can get the part or the use for free for the day, we will set it up, and we've already got a good layout of what we already plan to do in there. And we know we'll draw a bigger crowd. Our proceeds will be good. The senior center will receive the funds. The constable departments, all the precincts that participate, they'll all get a cut of the funds. Everybody will come out on top.
Sounds good.
I think it's very good.
I make a motion that we approve the request for the Stansel Expo Center arena.
I'll second that, Mayor.
That'd be a
I'll
good
second
thing.
it.
Marilyn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Council, any other discussion? Okay, Dan made the motion, and he said, James or Marilyn made the second. Marilyn made the second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Thank you. Item 8, consideration and possible action on options for fuel service for the city vehicles and authorize CAF to action as needed. We're gonna, Jim.
Yes, Brian Mock is here, with White Bears, and he's got a presentation and can answer any questions you guys might have.
Thank you for having me this evening. I assume the council knows, we've obviously sold fuel to the city for quite some time. Recently, our tanks had the same situation. I'm sure you've heard. They pull in, take the bottoms off the dispensers. They end up stealing fuel. So they hit us for about between $12,000 to $18,000 worth of fuel. The cost of maintaining the pumps that we have out front, because we're not generally open to the public. You can't come in and use a credit card. We're mostly a fleet fueling situation. It's not feasible for us to continue with the amount of gallons that we supply. Therefore, we have made the decision that we are going to ultimately close that station down because it is unmanned. So anytime after our auto parts store closes, it can be free for all free. We have it open now, of course, and we will keep it open until the city has made a final decision on what they would choose to do. We certainly don't want to put them in a situation to not have access to fuel until they have a final plan. We have presented the city with some options to have their own tanks. It's been my experience over a couple decades, it's in the city's best interest. If you're not going with a management system like we're using over at our facility, that is the most cost-effective way in the long run. Yes, there is an outlay of cash in the front, but by doing this will allow the city to control their own destiny when it comes to buying fuel. They're not stuck to one provider, which is what you have the free fuel tanks. That's what gets you stuck with somebody, and then you're on their plan. The plan we offer is when the city buys their tanks, they could go to market any day. I'm sorry I don't have, for the gentleman that made the statement earlier, I don't have the exact savings that the city could have over time, but you certainly could be buying the cheapest fuel any day that you choose to replenish. You would also control your own fuel in times of a storm or like we saw the blizzard. I know where the city has discussed putting these tanks, there's emergency power backup in that facility already. So these tanks would work independently, wouldn't need anything else to access them. With that, also, I was there the day the city installed the cards that you currently use, and it's a pretty detailed system because you have all your different departments, and the system we use tracks those departments, vehicles, and we call every human a driver, even if they're filling up a gas can. The system that we have have supplied our estimate with here to the city, in my opinion, is the most cost effective. It is a cloud-based system, so you're not relying on any specific hardware. It can be hot swapped at any time. The monthly fee is $85, not paid to us. That would be paid directly to Fill-Rite. They are the premier system out. We've used all the systems that are on the market, and this is the system I use for my facilities as well. So I'm not trying to peddle you something that we have on the shelf. This is exactly what we use in our facilities for our own vehicles. It does an excellent job of tracking trucks, vehicles, cars, breaking it down by divisions. It allows the operators or the administrators to have total control over the system. It is virtually real time, so if you do have to terminate an employee of the city, you can stop them from access to that fuel in an instant. It's very simple to use. It's as easy as using any of the other software that you find online. And the reporting, when it comes down to you in an Excel format, which is makes it very easy to manipulate. You can take that data and you can move it around prior to setting up your report, so it always reports back to you in the way you need to. So you can actually give different department heads access. They can pull down their usage. They can only get the information you choose for them to see. Of course, you have people in the city that can access all of that information. Again, it's simple one click and you have all your own data. And being in an Excel format, again, it's very easy for you to manipulate and do what you need to.
Who pays taxes? It's on the gas. See,
You pay the state tax, you're exempt from the federal tax on both gas and diesel. That's another part of the system that because I know the city obviously has options to go buy fuel at stations. That would be the one thing I would caution to make sure that the city is aware of is that station willing to be able to handle those taxes for you. We do that on the front side. So when you get a bill from us at the end of the month, it's already been taken care of. We report and get our taxes back.
This sounds like something we need to do.
Yes, ma'am. It's, when they make their presentation, we asked them to give us a couple of additional quotes, basically for logistics for the room. We're gonna get one 1,000 gallon, and gas and one 1,000 gallon diesel, and there will be a tank inside of the tank. We will have some additional costs moving forward. We're gonna have to run some electricity from the Public Works building over to the site where the tanks will be. And then we also want to run electricity over to a gate and put a remote gate in. That way all of our staff has 24-hour access to it. And it's going to be, for those of y'all that don't know, it's going to be at the old, at the current Public Works building. So my recommendation would be to go with this option. They've been wonderful for us for years, and I think that they can provide the type of service we need when it comes to getting fuel to these tanks in an emergency, et cetera. However, I would also recommend that we do look at a line of credit somewhere as simply a backup for in case of emergencies.
And we still obviously will have our facility here in town. We're not closing the facility itself. We will have our bulk tanks there. So in the event of a situation, we do have access to get the city fuel. Sure. Even if we're pumping it right there at our facility.
Right. Yeah, and you could actually service us remotely as well.
We appreciate you bringing this to us and all the good work you've done.
Yeah, may I say something?
I just want to ask a question, and I do agree with the city having their own tanks, but I see an option 1 and option 2. What is the purpose or the benefit of the double wall skid tank?
Well, so tanks come generally 2 different ways. There are single wall tanks and then there are double wall tanks. The single wall tanks is just simply one shell of a tank. If it gets ruptured, there is nothing and stopping it from the fluid that's inside coming out. A double wall tank is a tank inside of a tank, so it allows you that extra level of protection before you actually reach or rupture the tank that would expose it to.
Okay.
And where we're planning on putting them, the tank within a tank works a little bit better due to the space, amount of space that we have.
With that said, Mayor, if I may, I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we move forward with the city, I think that was option 1 for the floor services, to authorize the staff to take action on this.
I'll second that also, with a comment. I really think this would be a good deal for the city. Say, for example, 10 years ago during the big hurricane, a lot of the local, vendors were out. And at that time, before I retired from energy, we had our own gas servicing, but we also had a card where, for emergency use. But during that hurricane, we had gas. A lot of people, a lot of other companies didn't have gas. So I think it'll be a win-win for the city, even though on the startup cost, that's going to cost on the front end, but after several years, it'll eventually take more sense.
Marilyn, did you make the motion?
Yes, sir.
Marilyn?
And Danny said.
Okay, Danny seconded. Any other discussion of council? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Against, the same sign. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, sir. Item 9, consider directing staff to proceed with a request for proposals for ambulance services for the city of Cleveland or allow for auto renewal with the current vendor. We are with, Allegiance, yeah.
The contract is automatic renewal for a 1-year period of October to September. Basically, if council decides to direct staff to go out for a request for bids for ambulance service, it'll need to be done in April because we have a 90-day termination date, which is July 1. We would use the same request for proposals documentation that was used in 2019, which also included having the vendors make a presentation to the city council as part of the bid process.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask a question, I guess. Have we had any problems with the services with this existing ambulance service?
Let me say one thing about the ambulance service.
Okay.
I was mayor when we owned our own ambulances, manned our own ambulances. Even an ambulance back then was $120,000 or $30,000, and we had to have a lot of them, and then we had to have the manpower. They charged us $45,000 a year, and they just got the county's bid for their county of Liberty County. They've had other counties, but they just got the Liberty bid. I've never had anyone call me about Allegiance. I used to get calls 2 or 3 times a week on when we had it, because we just had problems manning it and just the money we spent on it. I see if it's not broke, don't, if they're agreeing to do the same thing they did. When did we sign this contract in?
19?
And they're going to the same rate.
Yes, sir. According to their contract, it states that subsequent years are at the same rate.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm pretty much with you because it's been smooth. I haven't heard of one complaint on Allegiance.
Sean?
Yes, sir.
He's right here. Oh, Sean.
Sorry, it's very cool when I got here. I've been using my seat in the back. Yes, sir.
I just was, what's your opinion on Allegiance?
So we've not had any complaints with Allegiance, and as you stated, they have taken on other contracts from other cities within the county. They've also taken over the county contract. The only city they don't currently protect is the city of Liberty, because the city of Liberty Fire is the only, does their own EMS, but they have taken over the rest of the county. They have other counties around us. They've done a great job. When they took on the county contract, they brought people from as far as Dallas area where they have contracts to make sure that they had trucks up and running in service when the previous contract closed and they just left. And we were left high and dry, not we as the city, but we as the county, because we covered, fire department, we covered part of the county too. We were left high and dry, and they did whatever they had to do to bring people here and staff ambulances and get us protected, and they've kept those filled. Any issues we've had, we have direct contact with their supervisors, with above their supervisors. So if we have any issues, it's taken care of quickly. For all the years we've had contracts with other services, we would go for years and not ever have a report on what they've done. They've supplied us reports that go in your council packets on a regular basis to make sure that you all and we all are informed on what they've done and where they're at, what they're doing. The only thing I would say with this is, with the growth of the city, we may need to look at increasing by a Medicaid. So it may go up a little bit, but like you said, this has been the best pairing that we've had with a service thus far, and I would hate to see them going.
Okay. I make the motion that we continue to allow.
Dolores Terry made the motion.
And really, council, if you do nothing, it'll repeat.
Okay,
So, I mean, it's-
so we do
We just wanted to bring your attention well in advance, just in case you wanted us to explore other options. So there's really nothing you need to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Item 10, consideration of possible action. We got another meeting going.
No.
Consideration and possible action on 2 ordinances calling for joint public hearings with City Council and Zoning Commission for April the 19th, 2022 at 6 p.m. for specific use permit applications for RV park and general commercial location and zone change from general commercial residential 1, residential 2, general commercial for you. This is the Cleveland Independent School District's administration building, which will be out by Tractor Supply, which will be 50,000 square feet of building. Angela, you want to get in for these 2?
Yes, sir. All this is, you have to have 2 public hearings. One is with the zoning commission and one is with the city council. By doing an ordinance, the local government code allows us to combine those 2 public hearings into 1 public hearing. We still will provide the newspaper notification 16 days in advance of the public hearing. And those owners that are affected will still receive their 200-foot letter. We just are being able to reduce the amount of time that the petitioners have 2 meetings by being able to do a joint public hearing. So all council has to do is simply accept the 2 ordinances tonight. We will do the notifications, and then we'll hold both the zoning commission and the city council meeting on our regularly scheduled meeting in April. Zoning commission will leave the room after the public hearing to debate, decide their final recommendation. They will come back to the meeting, provide that final recommendation to council, and then council will be able to make their decision at the same meeting.
Council?
So basically, we just agreed to go ahead and put this into effect.
It's just a procedural step so that we can expedite the process.
Okay, I make a motion that we move forward with this ordinance for the specific use and the zone change.
Carol? Marilyn made the motion, Carolyn seconded. Any other discussion, council? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Yes. While we're talking about that administration building, I talked to the superintendent today, McCandless. He said we have zero cases of COVID in the schools. Now that could change, but 0 right now. Today, as of today, 0. I also talked to Gordon Coffin today at lunch, and he said that, and I can't say that they're going to start it, but hopefully within the next month or 2, put people that we can put in cemeteries and on some of these corners and clean up Cleveland a little better with this group. That's not to say they're gonna do it yet, but they have no outbreak.
Right, that's it.
Doesn't mean TDCJ all have, but I thought that was really great news. I'm gonna go to lunch with my granddaughter tomorrow at Southside, and that's been years without doing that. Okay, item 11, consideration and possible action on discussions to terminate current city manager. That's my little deal. Okay, items 12 and 13 are executive sessions. I was told that we do not need them, so
Unless anybody has it.
ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yes, sir. Marilyn, okay, let's go.